Welcome, fans, once again to KB's Unemployed show, the only show on the internet where you can sit at your job and watch a guy who doesn't have one anymore. What will KB do today? Change guitar strings, perhaps? Grade papers? Worry about his future? Who knows? The only thing we know is it's guaranteed to make you question your intelligence, simply because you're watching it. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the unemployed lifestyle of KB.
The pods are now open.
Look at my cat. Look at my cat. Look.
I like to study about the world cities and airports.
KB brings just great instincts. That's what you love about him.
Oh, that boy ain't right.
If Andy yearns for Brenda and Brenda cares about Charlene, who pines for Andy, the three of them form one of these. Kara.
What is it, threesome?
No.
Taste the biscuit. Taste the goodness of the biscuit.
Lesbians. It's what makes a Subaru a Subaru.
I don't mind a bit of bush.
37 in a row?
Shut the f*** up, okay? Shut the f*** up.
Do you want to start drinking?
Yes.
You know, I'm going to have to go for 420, Bob.
Cheez-Its! Cheez-Its! Cheez-Its!
Light this candle.
He's right. Let's light this candle.
Light the candle.
Are you ready for it?
And the candle is lit. It is KB's first Unemployed show. After the Christmas holiday, I am KB, and I am still unemployed. As you can tell by taking a look at me, I've got the scruffy unemployed face happening right there. I'm gonna have to do something about that one of these days, but right now it's just not gonna happen. But anyway, thanks for coming back. I didn't think I'm going to put on these glasses, but these reflectors as much. Anyway, hey, I want to thank you guys for stopping back. And we got Haiti on board. And hey, thank you very much for coming by. This is, of course, the dumbest show ever in the history of YouTube television. It is KB's Unemployed show, where I just sit and talk to you about being unemployed and stuff that has been going on since I've been unemployed and anything that happens to pop into my mind. Although over the last couple of weeks, I've been actually taking notes and writing stuff down. So I do have some features that are going to start revealing themselves over the next few days. One of which is we will start today. Kind of danced around it the other day. But one of those is going to be one of those new things is KB's top 5 all-time worldwide. And right now, KB's top 5 all-time worldwide is going to be for today. Is going to be here. We'll put this up. See, I still haven't figured out that thing on the side, but I will. KB's top 5 all-time unimpressive yet awesome Christmas gifts. And when we get to that point in the show, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Those Christmas gifts that when you got them as a kid, you looked at them with that, this sucks. And then when you look back at it, you go, you know, I really needed that. Or, you know what, I really like those things. I got a couple in there that are going to be big surprises for you. I'm also going to talk a little bit about, some of the things that went on this weekend, some of the stuff that I did over the holidays. Went and saw a little puck, watched a little Badger puck yesterday. It was pretty good. They ended up beating Lake Superior State. Got to watch the Packers absolutely go brain dead again. Against the Baltimore Ravens, although, they did hang in there, without Jordan Love and then without Malik Willis. You got to give them credit for hanging in there. But nonetheless, they are heading in the wrong direction while the Bears are scaring me. Not going to lie. The Chicago Bears are scaring me a little bit, just a little bit. Maybe they are for real. As much as we hate to admit it, maybe the Chicago Bears are good. As I've said on more than one occasion, I hate to give the worst thing to ever give a Bears fan is hope. And it looks like they've got a lot of it. And, thankfully, if you watch the game, Caleb Williams still does Caleb Williams things. And they probably could have pulled out that game last night had Caleb Williams made a couple of decent passes at the time, but missed wide open receivers again. So, thankfully we've got that in our hip pocket when we have to face the Bears again. And in all likelihood, it is going to be the Bears for the third time in what, 5 weeks, facing the same team for the third time in 5 weeks. Didn't that, I think that happened a few years back? And then, as a matter of fact, that may have happened when the Packers went to the Super Bowl in 2010, and they may have finished the regular season with the Bears and then had to open the playoffs against the Bear. Jacob and Evan, there you go. Absolutely. You remember from the Drew and KB show, champions fear no one. And that's absolutely right. Although this is a depleted championship team, if you will, a very depleted championship team. So it remains to be seen exactly what team is going to show up. Next week we'll find out, because the Vikings, I think, are still in. They still might be in the hunt. Mathematically, they haven't been eliminated yet. So the Vikings could very well make the playoffs at 9-8 with a win, and that only puts the Packers a half a game ahead of the Vikings, and the Vikings have pretty much sucked all year. So that will be interesting to see what happens next week. Now, I was texting last night back and forth with Aaron Nagler when I was watching the 49ers game, and I don't remember who the player was, but who was playing for them now, but it was the fullback number 44, and I can't remember off the top of my mind, but it reminded me of Tom Rathman. So it started a discussion back and forth between Aaron Nagler and I regarding I'm sorry, I just checked this. See, now this is another thing you don't do during a show. You don't check your messages. But who were the great running backs? Because 44, I said, who does 44 remind you of when you see it in a 49ers uniform? And my answer was Tom Rathman. And then it went back and forth with the big, bruising, crushing fullbacks, back when, and as Nags and I were laughing about, back when the game was a game, right? And we were throwing names back, like, of course, the Packers, the ones that the punishing backs. Then the fullback position that you can remember, obviously Jim Taylor, but then you get John Brockington was another punishing fullback before the fullback became basically another blocker. And, oh, by the way, too, I am imbibing early right there with the mumbler. Hey, Steve, what's going on, my friend? Hey, Steve says, hi, KB. And you know what, Steve? I say hello back to you. How about that? But then that was the other players that came up. Let me just take a quick peek here. He had William Henderson, absolute. But I was talking about old school cool, where he had Jim Zonka and John Riggins. If you're looking in the Central Division, Matt Suey with the Bears was in the 85 Bears team. Bill Brown, Tom Maddie, Emerson Boozer. Happy New Year's, too. Happy New Year's to you, Steve. Very good. We'll talk about New Year's plans tomorrow. Tomorrow we do have a big show coming up, because tomorrow we're going to have Trevor Ramsey from Inside Sports Wisconsin on. He co-hosts Inside Wisconsin Sports. I better get that straight before I start talking to him tomorrow. But we'll be talking to Trevor, who hosts a show with John Anderson on the World Wide Web, on the information superhighway, if you will. And John Anderson, formerly of ESPN. And Trevor will be on, and we'll be talking about all things, Wisconsin, and probably not Wisconsin sports, because that might get me in trouble. But I can just talk about whatever I want to. But I can't really have a discussion with other people about sports, but I can talk to you about whatever I want, and that's what I'm going to do. But we're going to talk about, so when we're looking at the big bruising running backs last night, there's no doubt in my mind that as I watched that, and the Bears kept coming back and coming back and coming back, and it's like, damn. I thought when the Bears scored on that interception to open the game, I'm like, uh-oh, here we go. And then San Francisco didn't even flinch, came flying back, and it's like, okay, well, we got this under control. But, hey, kudos to the Bears. They just kept taking their shots and kept going and going and going. So you have to respect that, and they got it all the way down to the end and almost pulled it out. Thankfully, they didn't. Thankfully, they did not pull it out. I was going back and forth with Bears fan Bob, who, as I said to as I said to him, I said, you know, w- this could be the year that everybody got it wrong about the Bears. And he responded, yeah, including me. So, and that's what we always love about Bears fan Bob is that Bears fan Bob is a realist when it comes to talking about his Bears. He's not one of those blind optimists. It's like, this is the Bears year. The Bears are the best. Caleb Williams is a first ballot Hall of Famer. No, he's very straightforward. And so I was wondering. So I asked him because he is a season ticket holder for the Bears, but he's got his tickets are way up in the nosebleeds. So I said, "You're going to be heading to the game," and he said, "Well, my seats for the game one are 195 each, and these are way up in the top." He goes, "The second game is 285, and then the championship game, if they get there, is 355 each." He said, "Pretty pricey for nosebleeds," but he goes, "But I'll probably just go upstairs, fire up the hot dog roller with beef barley soup, Chicago chili dogs with sharp cheddar cheese, of course, and a no bean chili." And there you go, man. The no bean chili, that is a winner. And right here, we got a question coming. Would be nice if Matt LaFleur would scheme Golden into the game plan like the Bears did and have done with their second round pick, Luther Burden. And he got hurt at the end of the game. I didn't see what the net result of that was, but it certainly seems that over the last couple of weeks without Jordan Love there and started out, there's just an odd progression of what the Packers have been doing. It's, sometimes they look like they're just absolutely unstoppable. The loss of Micah Parsons, of course, is going to be really devastating, and understandably so, but they haven't been able to really overcome that. And who is going to overcome it, really? It's pretty difficult to overcome it. But they've kind of held their own, but they haven't shown, defensively, I don't think that they've totally broken down. I mean, Derrick Henry is Derrick Henry, right? I mean, he's going to run roughshod over everyone. But that game that reminded me of the game when they played the 49ers, where the 49ers just ran the ball. And it was like, we're going to run the ball until you stop us. And if you can't stop us, then we're not going to stop running the ball. And that's what they did with Derrick Henry, and he just absolutely sliced through it. Saquon Barkley can do that. That's the one thing that the Packers are always suspect. And I don't think it's simply the loss of Kenny Clark. I think, Lucas Van Ness has been on the back of a milk carton. I think his days are pretty much done with the Packers. Everything that's come out about Micah Parsons and everything he said, it certainly appears as if he still wants to be around. But there is definitely that void. You sacrifice some size when you go for speed, and it's starting to show in the running game that it's coming back to bite them in the butt, if you will. But that the Ravens game did remind me of that 49ers game when they just couldn't stop anything that the 49ers were doing. It was just an embarrassment. I think that you don't have to worry about a third string quarterback throwing on you when you can run the ball like that. Whereas the Packers offense, though, hasn't seemed to really, I just haven't seen anything exciting about it. I haven't seen exciting, and unless you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I have not seen a lot of exciting things happening with the Packers offense. It seems like they've got a lot of speed at wide receiver. I don't know if there's a lack of trust there, either in the trust of Malik Willis throwing the ball or a trust in the quarterback and the receivers catching the ball. It's so funny about talking about a trust. I was and receivers and throwing to receivers because my son and he came home this weekend and we were watching the 30 for 30s, and we watched the 30 for 30 of the Catholics versus the Convicts game, which is for you Notre Dame fans, that's 1988, and that would be the 1988 game against Miami, against the University of Miami, which was the 31-30 game. And the great thing about that game was I was at it, and I'm going to go get you my receipts in a second here. But I did make it to that game, which was pretty spectacular. But they're talking about wide receivers, and they were interviewing Pat Eilers, who had a great catch in that. He had a great catch in that game, or a great run rather, to put the Irish up. And he was talking about how he was a wide receiver, and Lou Holtz's inimitable sense of humor says in practice, Eilers was talking about how Holtz in practice was saying when Tony Rice had thrown a pass that hit Eilers right in the hands. And he said, here we go. We can take a look at it. There it is. There is the ticket stub right there. October 15th, 1988, $21, gate 6, section 11, row 17, seat 26. The Catholics versus the Convicts game. Although I do not have a shirt, I do have a shirt from 2 years later that is the one that has the Notre Dame ND, and it says, "This is your brain" on the back. It's got the Miami logo. It says, "This is your brain on drugs." I gave that one to my son. But Lou Holtz came up and just aired out Tony Rice. He goes, Tony Rice, he goes, I'm sitting there. Lou walks right past Eilers. He walks right past the linebackers. He right past the defensive line and comes right up to me and just absolutely lays me out. And it's like, damn it, Rice, why are you throwing the ball to Eilers when you know he isn't going to be able to catch it? And it was like, wow, that was a wake-up call. But he got his point across, right? But I don't know what it is with the receivers. There does seem to be a lack of there does seem to be a lack of creativity, as Steve likes right there. Creativity seems to be lacking. It certainly does seem to be lacking. And I don't know what it is, if it's just personnel, but it did not make for a good game the other night. And the last thing you want to do is go into Minnesota and lose. Now, they'll be playing Saturday at noon, which is good. It'd be a good day drinking game, but Saturday at noon. But absolutely right. There is some lacking creativity, and they're going to have to get that fixed. I don't know what it is. The offensive line is broken down. If they go into the playoffs right now, I guess I don't see them. I don't see them going very far. But then what do I know? I don't know anything. Here we go. Jacob and Van, $21 in 1988 is equivalent to $57.54 today. And then the $28 that he was talking about is right here, or the $21 for the ticket to get into Notre Dame Stadium, which I think I paid more for. I think I paid $50, but still, that ticket today, if you're in section 11, row 17, that's down low. So that ticket today was going to be a ton of money, I'm sure, to get into a Notre Dame football game, but certainly the game of the century, if you will. But in terms of the Packers going into the playoffs, I don't see them going exceptionally far. If they, and like I said, in all likelihood, it looks like they're going to have to square off against the Bears. They've got a split on the season so far. You'd like to think that the Packers would vanquish the smelly old grizzly Bears. But man, they've got all the feels right now. They are feeling themselves big time. Ben Johnson, I think, is probably one of the most punchable faces that you could possibly imagine. I'd like, with Dan Campbell, Dan Campbell is an acquired taste to begin with. So you add now Ben Johnson when they were on one team, that was just one team that annoyed the hell out of you. You could hate. Now you're sitting here looking at two teams now, with the Bears, with Campbell at the Lions, and with Ben Johnson at the Bears. So you're looking, at two coaches with exceptionally punchable faces. as Packers fans, I put this one up on a Twitter poll the other day, and you can tell me if you agree. Let me stick this one up. And this is to pick a more punchable face, if you will. I think it'd be hard pressed to in this is going to be a real difficult decision here for you guys to make. So when you want to take punchable faces, who would be of those four? Who would be the most punchable face? You got your Barry Switzer, your smug Barry Switzer, your Jimmy Johnson, who I could cold cock twice, once for the University of Miami and then once again for the Dallas Cowboys, Dan Campbell and Ben Johnson. Right now, I think if I had to rank those, it would be going clockwise, probably clockwise from the upper right-hand corner, with one being Jimmy Johnson, two being Ben Johnson, Dan Campbell, and then Barry Switzer. Those would be my four most punchable faces. He does look so smug. Dave says, greetings, KB. Wink McAllister live. Wink does live. He's like to remind you folks that Wink's recap will be tomorrow. Coming up right now in the 3:00 hour. There are some, I also like to point out, there are some irons in the fire. There's some things happening behind the scenes that the show is going to evolve over the next couple of months, and a couple of big surprises that are coming up for those of you who are fans of the Drew and KB show, or fans of any of the shows on the game. There will be some exciting news coming forward in the next couple of weeks that I think you're going to want to stay tuned for. The one thing that I'm kind of liking this YouTube platform thing personally, because you don't have to work as hard. I mean, you put as much work in. This is exceptionally difficult for me. Don't get me wrong, because I am not a host. I am just trying to hold down the fort, trying to learn how to do things, learn how to talk to a screen, learn how to talk to people out there, and hopefully pass along some information and share some things and some insights that if I should ever happen to get a co-host, then we could really start tearing it up. But right now it's a white knuckle ride. I'm just sitting here trying to keep her on the road, keep her out of the ditches. But Wink McAllister will be coming back. Of course, coming up later on in the show, I've got a great story for the other feature. What color is the sky on your planet? That will be coming up as well. So we're going to keep some of those features cooking, but we're talking about the Packers and we're talking about the Bears. The Bears are starting to scare me, and you're going to be looking around the NFL and you're going to have four teams that are really, really good, and then everybody else that is remarkably average. And it's really hard to get a gauge on anything. And I can't tell you right now where the Packers are. I think the Packers were odds-on favorites. I think the Packers, if they still had Micah Parsons and if Jordan Love was healthy, I think the Packers would be in a pretty good spot. Right now, not so sure. So what am I drinking? Starting it off, since it is the holidays, and what do unemployed guys do? Unemployed guys drink, day drink quite a bit. Now I'm not gonna go out and get absolutely ripped, but I can tell you this much: as an unemployed guy, you don't carry the day drinking guilt like you normally would. But so I can just have a quick little pop, and then I don't have any kids around to yell at, and I don't kick the dog or anything like that, so I can have one and then totally chill out. But the NFL playoffs, the college football playoffs. Show of hands out there. Does anyone know who's still in and who's out? Because right now I have literally, the way the Christmas fell. And now we got bowl games coming up, but there was NFL games this weekend, but there are some college games being played. I have absolutely no idea where the college football playoff bracket is. Couldn't tell you. I don't know who's playing. When is the next round of the playoffs? Is it the New Year's Day bowls? Have they had 10 days off in between? Um, I couldn't tell you. I can't tell you what it's supposed to be, which to me just goes to show that this whole thing sucks balls. Okay, so we have, all four now coming up are going to be either on New Year's Eve or on New Year's Day, which will then push everything back to the championship game being on the middle of January. January 19th, which would be that Saturday. And I believe classes start on the 21st. So all those kids can get back to class. But you've got Oregon, Texas Tech, Alabama, and Indiana, Ole Miss, and Georgia, Miami, and Ohio State. Why don't they just throw the whole SEC in and just be done with it? That's all. I can just give it to all of them, and then we can go on. You can have ESPN and the SEC can have their little college football world, and they can do all their little college football things, and then we'll just go and have our own college football world and enjoy it and not have to listen to everyone absolutely tongue bathe everybody in the SEC. But the college football bowl games are coming up. And right now, I think every last one of us here is an Indiana fan. I would love nothing more than Indiana to knock off Alabama. I can't think of anyone who would want to be, I can understand some people for Ole Miss maybe because it's been so long. Oregon, I cannot tolerate Oregon. I cannot tolerate the changing of the uniforms. Or the lifestyle. Sorry, I'm not a big granola eater. I'm not going to ride my own pedal bike to generate the power to the energy to power the blender for my kale smoothie. I'm just not. I mean, it's just not what I'm going to do. Hey, but if that's how you want to live out there in Oregon, by all means, that's how you can live out there in Oregon. But it is not for me whatsoever. Georgia, Georgia, I kind of like Georgia. It's setting up a showdown between possibly Georgia and could be setting up Georgia and Miami. And this is the other thing where it's so effed up is that you could literally have, if Miami wins and Georgia wins, they could face off against each other in the Fiesta Bowl, which should be on New Year's Day, but they kicked that thing back. They could square off in the Fiesta Bowl that would have Miami's starting quarterback being the starting quarterback of Georgia from last year and the year before, who won 2 SEC championships, that being Carson Beck. And that gets to why the transfer portal is such a mess. The transfer portal is even more of it's easier to keep track of people that are on pro teams. People on pro teams stick around. You don't know where anyone is going with this. With people ducking in and out. And I think we just saw a recent example for those of you who are Marquette basketball fans, Zayd Lowery, who is a sophomore. Sophomore, junior, redshirt, doesn't matter. Saw action in some in 60 games or odd games, and then no one knows what the real story is, but has decided to leave the program and just up and leave the program in the middle of the season. Now there's scuttlebutt out there on social media that it surrounds an altercation between the player and an assistant coach, and there was some, hands were thrown, and there were some derogatory statements made. Some people have even insinuated that there might have been some racial things. There might be a racial. Hey, Kenneth, shut up! Hold on a second. I gotta go straighten this guy. Kenneth, knock it off. All right, we're back. But therein lies the whole problem that you've got with the NIL crap is that now all of a sudden you get can you imagine like a coach who would have played for Bob Knight? How about that? How about that? Who would play for Bob Knight in the NIL era? There'd be only a handful. Only a handful of people that would play for Bob Knight. You look at them sideways and they'd all transfer. Now, like I said, we don't know what the nexus of the reason for the transfer was in the Marquette situation, only what has been implied over social media, and we know as reliable as social media is, that is not reliable whatsoever. But what it does indicate to me is something that I've been saying for a long time about the transfer portal and the NIL. And I'm going to take this all the way back. And I'm going to tell you the problem with college athletics can be quite simply traced back to one thing: gentle parenting. Right? It can be traced back to gentle parents. Because what happens? You get these kids, you get parents who want their kids to be great. Yeah, and if you want to throw an okay boomer at me, throw an okay boomer at me. You want parents that want their kids to be great. Now, I am of the era where I had a dad who busted his ass. And he was not really an athletic guy. But he busted his ass every day working. He was up, one of the hardest working men you'd ever meet. He worked in lumber yards. He worked on construction. He was out the door at 5 a.m. I mean, we're talking about a guy who made an honest day's wage and worked hard, but still, at the end of the day, found a way to get to my Little League games and get to my baseball games or get to anything that I was doing. He still made it there. He always was there to support me, and he cannot. I mean, that's what you have to do as a parent. But there's a difference between supporting and living vicariously through, and then also trying to achieve a higher level of success. I mean, you got to kind of come to grips with the facts that, sometimes your kids just aren't going to be that good. But, gentle parents, what's the whole thing behind gentle parenting? They don't want to see their kids get disappointed. But, the fact of the matter is, you don't want them to be disappointed, but what I think is even worse than not wanting your kids to be disappointed is not letting your kids experience any level of disappointment. So that takes us back to the support thing, right? Supporting them is not keeping them from being disappointed. Supporting them is being there when they are disappointed. It's that level of disappointment that they have to learn. And parents don't want to let that happen. So they believe that their kids are good. They send them to camps. They spend the money. Now the parents have got skin in the game. So they've got a vested interest. I spent this much money. Damn it, you are going to succeed. Well, in terms of, let's just take a look at basketball. In terms of basketball, you got the AAU thing going on where kids just hop from team to team. And now all of a sudden you got some guy who is playing on an AAU team with another kid in a different part of the state. Next thing you know, turns around, that kid is transferring high schools so he can play with the kid on his AAU team. And there's absolutely no loyalty there. And what is that teaching them? And the parents are allowing it. Well, what that's teaching them is that unless you have everything exactly the way that you want it, and it has to be that way. Otherwise, you can just get up and leave. You can just go somewhere where you have it the way that you want it, and you get your way. And now that it's not a trickle down, I guess it's a trickle up, because that has gone from youth sports to select teams. I saw it when my kid was 7 years old. There were some parents that did not like the way the hockey team was being selected, and they went off and started their own hockey team so that they could handpick these kids and move them along up the ladder in the way that they wanted to. I saw it in travel baseball where they didn't like, a couple of parents thought their kids were better than everybody else, didn't like the organization. Fine, we'll just start our own thing. We'll move it over there and we'll handpick these people. And they're kind of missing the point. What they've just taught all these kids is if you don't like the way it is, you don't have to be tough. You just have to quit. And that is unfortunate. And that's what we're seeing now. Now, like I said, I don't know the whole situation behind the thing at Marquette, but from the appearances is that there was some sort of rift there, and it's like, I don't like it here. I'm going to go somewhere else. Well, you have to have in place somewhere. They're going to have to fix this where there is always accountability in the school. There's going to be accountability in the school for the grades, which are bullshit anyway. There's going to be an accountability in the school for the academic, for their academic, and their accountability in the school for their performance. There's going to be accountability in the school for how much money they're spending on NIL, but where there's no accountability on the part of the student. The students are not, the student athlete is not held accountable for anything. Nothing. I don't like it. I don't like the money you're giving me, which I think is outrageous anyway. And that's not to say that athletes shouldn't be paid, but one of these shows I'll get into how I think NIL should work. But in terms of they're rewarding these kids, you're getting rewarded for selfish behavior. And the gentle parents allow this to happen. And because they don't want to see their kids disappointed, so they allow them to move whenever they want to. And even now, you're seeing it getting into the NBA where you've got guys recruiting from other teams. Hey, come and play with me over here. Come and do this. So the tail has been wagging the dog. And it's taken a lot of, I don't want to say the fun, but it's just added another layer to athletics that doesn't necessarily need to be there. And I'm not saying that the university, the owner, these ownership groups or anyone should be indentured servants, but there's got to be some sort of a reciprocal accountability. And there isn't. So now you get this guy doesn't like what was going on, and he very well may have been in the right. And I'm not implying that he was not. And I'm certainly not by any stretch of the imagination defending Marquette, because they could certainly be the truth is always somewhere in the middle. But I think by just allowing someone to get up and leave, did it really correct the situation? Well, we'll never know because we're not on the inside. And maybe this is the proper solution, and I'm not implying that it isn't. But in many instances, you see that happening all over the place. I just saw that the Badgers just spent a couple of $1 million for another quarterback recruit coming in, which will make coming in next year. And I can't recall exactly where he's transferring from. That's one of the things. Note to self, KB, as you proceed along with these shows, what you're going to really want to do here is you're really going to want to start taking notes. And so it is a little bit more interesting and compelling instead of it, because a whole show of me just saying, I read somewhere. Okay, how do I change your stream to the old? Okay, the original K. What do you mean? How do I change your stream to the old version? What do you mean there by that, my friend? The original K, please let me know, because I'm not exactly sure what you mean, change it to the old version. Because this is the only version I've got since I've been, what's the phrase I'm looking for? This is the phrase they used in all my documentation. Involuntary separation. Now you take up the whole screen. Last week, your video was on top and chat on the bottom. Oh, okay. Is it here? We could do this. How about that? We'll put that down there on the bottom. Is that better for you, my friend? That's what we were doing. The comments were up there. And across the bottom, as you can see, if you want to make a good co-host, and we've already had Ben in the 414 who's co-hosted before. If you want to be a co-host, just hit me at, go to Drew and KB, fill out the contact form and tell me why, and you could co-host the show with me. Tomorrow, I'm going to have Trevor Ramsey from Inside Sports Wisconsin who'll be co-hosting. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff. We played in the same. He founded a softball tournament up in Green Bay in De Pere when I was in college that I played in. I will have to leave the stream. Okay. That I played in the Pink Flamingo Baseball Classic, and I played in that. We didn't even know each other. He was one of the founders, and I knew some of the other guys. We'll probably talk about that for a little bit. But anywho, back to the matter at hand with the NIL, and you've got another quarterback coming in Wisconsin. They're going to spend a couple of $1 million, and for what? There's no accountability on the part of the athlete. Now, you can't in the Wisconsin situations. There's not much you can do about injuries, right? And you certainly can't blame that on anyone within the university or the organization. It's a violent game and things happen. But there's also an investment there. What we don't know, and none of us do, we're not that close to it, is that the live chat is not displaying. Let me see. Okay, I see the comments are not displaying on the side. I may have to go to the settings and find out. I see what you're saying here. I'll have to double check. Let me see if that works. How is that working? Is that working there? Is the live chat displaying now? Show comments on stage. Bang. There we go. How about that, folks? There we go. The live chat is displaying now. Here we got that running up the side there. Why don't you guys talk to each other? And there we go. Have a good time. Perfect. Thank you very much, 74 Sealy. No, but when we're you can't hold the university responsible for anything like that because it's not their fault. But at some point, we don't know if they have insurance policies against these contracts. This, to me, Dave, I need a drink. I'm having one right there. That is a mumbler. That is a Drew and KB bourbon from the Central Standard Distillery. And there you can see right there on the bottom, couple of nice little cherries in that bad boy. Delish. There's got to be some sort of a level of protection for the university. And if there's not, then why would I even get in that game? It's really kind of sad. What it is there's all of the pressure to win and be champions, and has gotten to the point that no one can live in the moment and enjoy what is happening at the time. And I see that, one of the first questions out of the chute, to Matt LaFleur and the pressers, do you have a better chance of winning with Malik Willis? It's like, dear God, is that all, is that all we're worried about? And it's like, some guys get hurt. Some guys have bad games. Some guys have good games. But we're just so obsessed with this win at all costs and at any expense. I believe that you're going to see in the long run, unless this gets reined in, NIL will be more of, will have more negative consequences on, and a more negative impact on collegiate sports than the positives. And it's also going to spit out an entire generation of student athletes into the workforce who won't even go into the workforce because they made a lot of money in college and they don't need to, and then they're not going to know what to do. And they'll piss the money away. And I don't make anywhere near as much money as they do. I don't have as much money in a 401k that those guys are getting in 1 year. And I'm looking at, I got retirement kicking me right in the freaking teeth right now. And I'm going, I don't even know if I could make it. Well, you give someone $1 million out there, I'm a millionaire. Well, that doesn't mean anything. So it'll be interesting to see how this all shakes out. The original case says I'd make a great co-host because my name is Kevin 2. It's in our DNA. So K2, the K2 show, right? Named after the mountain? No, named after K squared. If you want to co-host the show, Original K, yeah, just hit me up. Just go right there and tell me why, aside from the name, why you think you would make a good co-host. But back to the NIL thing, something that's going to have to be rectified. And otherwise, the real loser in this whole thing is not going to be the athletes. It's not going to be the university. It's going to end up being the fans of the team. I don't know. Maybe call me I don't want to say a cockeyed optimist, but a cockeyed purist, if you would. But and you can be the cynic and say, okay, the game has always been dirty. The college game, the sports game, and the big money games have always been dirty. Sure. But there was also, I think it's totally been stripped of its innocence now. And innocence, it's not like innocence is a bad word because it's like it makes it sound like virginity, but I think it's been completely stripped of its sincerity, might be the better word. And now it doesn't have anything to do with playing Go State. The guy in the big bearskin coat and the pennant and the big megaphone, it's gone. It's gone. Here we go. Random question from Ben in the 414. And I'll get to that in a second. Let me finish my thought. See, this is what happens when you here's exactly what happens when you get a guy with ADHD hosting a show and then he allows things to go up on the screen, because then you got no idea. Got absolutely no freaking idea what your stream of thought is. But we'll go right to you, Ben, here. Random question. We're going to move this around, but that's going to be a part of the beauty of the show. Based on your experience in radio, are personalities genuine or are some in character while they are on the air? Now, I cannot speak to anyone other than myself and the people that I've worked with directly. Now, I have worked with, Drew Olson, Mike Heller, Steve Zabin, Brian Butch, all the personalities on the game. On the other side of the equation, I have worked with, when I was doing the morning show, I worked with Dave Luzak and Carol Kane. And I can tell you right now that everyone who I've worked with is genuine. Very, very genuine. Now, for me, on the other hand, what happens with radio is that, or anyone who's in media, what happens is that there is an exaggeration of the personality. So, there are a lot of people that will say, oh, he's such an asshole, or, he's so arrogant, or he's such a misogynist. You have to have, you can't, I don't just create an entirely different character. Those elements of my personality are in there, but they're always not forefront in my personality. And so when I get on the air, in many instances and in many situations, what I do is I just exaggerate one side or the other for effect. So people will go, oh, he's such an asshole, or he's such a grumpy old man. And it's like, no, not really. I may some of the things that I say, I certainly believe. I don't just go out there and lie for the sake of lying, or take a contrarian point of view for the sake of taking a contrarian point of view. But what I may do is I just might pump up the intensity level of it a little bit more to make it come more to the forefront. So it's still kind of within me. I'm not necessarily fake. I would be, I would probably say that I am more sincere than most people would think that I am, and there are more people than not who I meet after they get to know me that are surprised at how and hey, don't get me wrong, I have my moments, but are surprised at how gentle spirited I might be. Um, you get you get into a situation where it's a double-edged sword. Um, where it's people look at you, and if you don't talk, if you're any remotely introverted and you don't talk, and I'm not a big chatty guy, but I have to talk on the radio. I'm talking right here for 50 minutes straight. I haven't shut up. Well, I have to. I won't talk. I won't talk now for the next 3 hours. But if you were to see me out, I don't say anything, because if I don't have anything to offer in a conversation, I'm not somebody who just piles on and starts going blah, 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 and blabbing stuff out, right? I always want to add something that will move the discussion forward. So more often than not, people will look at me, judge me based on what they hear in the radio, which is an exaggeration of a personality trait that may or may not be there in full force. They couple it with me not being talkative and then go, oh, what an ass. Well, it's not necessarily the case at all. So that wasn't necessarily, thanks, Original K. I wish you know what? Come back on June 10th, Original K. On June 10th, if I'm still doing this, it'll get addressed. Can't do it until June 10th. No. In fact, I might start doing a countdown on social media when you can hear the whole story. I cannot do it. Look, there we go. Maraschino cherry. So I've had a friend of mine who's a musician, talks to other musicians. I tend to be very insecure around other musicians because I'm not that good compared to how they are. Well, then people immediately go, oh, he thinks he's better. No, I don't. I don't actually think I'm better than you. I think I'm a lot worse than you. And that's why I probably don't say anything. But I do have a couple of friends out there that when they cross paths, they're very, very helpful. And they say things like, and hey, just go talk to him. He's one of the funniest guys you'll ever meet. And I do have a couple of very, very dear friends right now who were on that other side. And then when someone said, just go talk to him, they found out that I'm not, the guy that everybody thinks that I am. But yeah, but the Original K, June 10th will be the day that I can reveal the full story. I will say this, everything that I have been told, it has nothing to do with anything that I said or did, because it was such a blindside. I mean, the whole station is gone. No one knows, but that's not for me to discuss. That's not for me to care about. I'm here. I'm still glad I got 133 people here that are still going to be sticking around and watching me. So, but enough of me rambling. I'm just getting to the points where I can do the two little bits that I'm going to do, and and then put it out in a YouTube short so it can go viral, maybe or maybe not. So we're coming off of Christmas. I did pretty well. Well, I didn't do really well. I can't tell you exactly what the product or what the gift is, but this is a typical dad thing. Okay, my son comes home. And my wife and I, we were getting gifts for everybody. I thought I did very well for her. I got her one of those Theraguns, those big triangle massage things. And, I had a laugh when I gave her that massage gun. It's like, we have reached the age where when you give the gift of a personal massager, they're actually going to use it to massage themselves because they have sore muscles. I mean, You go from when you were a kid and you see, oh, I'm going to get that nice little personal massager there. A mom would love that. And then you don't realize what you're buying her. And then you go through that realization point until you're really old and you go, I can't get you that back massager because I know that ain't a back massager. And then you go and you get your wife a back massager because, yeah, she needs a back massager. But I did get her that. And then, so my son comes in from Boston, who got me a very cool. We have a thing that's going on. A long time ago, I made a like a running joke of the worst Christmas gift that you could ever buy would be a T-shirt from the bar that you were drinking at all day that caused you to be late for Christmas dinner. And so it's become a running gag that we give each other shirts from bars, from random bars. So he got me one. He moved to Boston. He said there's a bar. He's Southie. There's a bar that's close to him called The Clock. So he brought me something from The Clock. He got his mom hex-clad pants. Unreal. These are life-changing. They're also like $600. But kids makes good glue. Which my wife was in tears. Who would have thought cookware? But then it came time to, and then we got his girlfriend. I went out and I bought her because they do Legos together. I got her a Lego set, and I knew they would do it together. And it was this big Trevi Fountain Lego set. And those things aren't cheap, for God's sakes. That's like $200 for Lego toys. And then my wife gave him a quarter zip from Buffalo Trace. And then I said to my wife, I go, where's the other one? She goes, what other one? That's the one you were going to get. Oh, yeah. And I went back to Amazon and the other one was still in the cart. Forgot to check out. So, and I'm not going to say that when I got him because I don't want him to go and look at this and see it, but I forgot to check it out. It's still in the cart. Well, it is no longer in the cart, but it's very cool nonetheless. But it got me thinking about there are Christmas gifts that you give. And so this brings me now to the new top 5, featured the top 5 all-time worldwide. We're going to put that down. And here we go. The top 5 all-time worldwide. And this is what it is going to be. Ladies and gentlemen, where is... Oh, that went up there. Here we go. KB's top 5 all-time worldwide. Unimpressive yet awesome Christmas gifts. Top 5 all-time worldwide. Unimpressive yet awesome Christmas gifts. There are, and you look back at it, and when you were a kid, you hated getting these gifts, maybe, or but when it gets right down to it, what did you really need? That's what you need. So you want all the cool stuff when you were a kid, and you got all the crappy stuff and you hated it and you didn't want it. But that's the stuff that you really need. And when you get older, you look back and go, God, I really need that. And then they give you all the crappy stuff that you don't need, but those are the things that you really need. Now, for example, my son got me, I needed new slippers. Now, I would have gone to Walmart, for $10. Boom, you get a pair of those like brown moccasin looking things. You wear them till you put a hole in the foot, and then you throw them out, go get another 10-pound or a $10 pair of them. Well, God bless the young man. He brings home and he sets me up with some killer Uggs. So he gets Dave says that's why you get married, so you don't have to Christmas shop. You're not wrong. And then the original case says socks and skibbies, the number one most hated as an adult now. Give them to me. What a coincidence. Coming in right there, number 5 is socks. You are absolutely correct. Original case, socks. You never wanted socks. If I could find 2 socks that match and don't have holes, God bless it. I would kill for that. Hated them as a kid. But when it gets down to it and they go, you know what do you really need? It's like, you know what I really need? I need socks. Ben, you got Ugg slippers? I got Ugg slippers. They're awesome. Now, probably a little bit too much to spend on slippers, but they are comfortable. And, they got a nice sole on the bottom. They're going to stink to high heaven in a little bit, but they are pretty fantastic. Socks, though, is coming in there at the number 5 spot as it's an unimpressive gift. But when you look back at it, 6 months from now, let's say they get you golf socks. 6 months from now, when you got to go out and play that, first round of golf, and you put that new pair of golf socks on, the ankle cut golf socks, man, there's nothing better than the first time you slip your foot into a sock at all. For me, the greatest socks ever were Wigmam socks, a cuddle for your feet, if you will. But socks are the one that you look back on, and when you get that first nice pair of fresh socks, God, I needed these socks. That would be coming in at number 1, or number 5, rather. Coming in at number 4 on this would be, we're going to stay in the same thing. It's going to be the underpants. And why do I say underpants? Because that might be one of the funniest freaking words I've ever heard in my entire life. I don't know why. Anytime you say underpants, it just makes you laugh. For those of you who are married guys, if there's married guys out there, or if anyone's dating, or even if there's any women out there watching, say this to your men. You can use it either way. Just, when you're in that moment, in that sexy moment, if you will, when you're there and you just go, yo, baby, let's see what you got hiding under them underpants. And you tell me that you can say that without laughing, or you go, hey, honey, why don't you take down my underpants and see what's waiting for you? No, I mean, underpants are the greatest. It's the greatest freaking world. But you know what? You need them. You need underwear. You get underwear, and it's like, yes, I needed these. It's the evolution of Christmas, if you will. Coming in at number 3 is, the nose hair trimmer. Never thought I needed this. It's like you go buy one at Walgreens or something. They're like $8 or $9. They break. You use them once. The battery wears out. They don't work after that. But the nose hair trimmer, you don't realize how important to have trim nose hair is until it starts driving you crazy because you get the one long one that's hanging out of there. Keep the nose hair trim. It's a deal breaker. Here, although when I saw this one, the Wall Extreme Grip, it kind of makes me look at going, well, I don't know what kind of problem that guy's got going on there, but if he's really got a yank on his nose hairs, then he really has to have extra gripping power. The problem isn't necessarily his nose hair. Coming in at number 2, this is a gift that, your kids will do things as they get older, and as they're doing them, you don't realize how important they are in your life until after it's long gone. And I didn't realize this until, I don't know, my son was about 21. And my wife was saying every year at school, they would always have this little Christmas bazaar, right? This little Christmas mart at his school. And the kids would get their quarters or whatever, and they'd go down and they would buy the junkiest things and they give them to their parents for Christmas. Well, when you're 5 years old, 6 years old, 7 years old, you don't have a lot of money, right? And parents today, it drives me crazy because my wife is telling me that parents today goes, what do you need that junk for? I don't need this junk. I don't need that junk. Why are you buying that crap? And it's like, man, you're missing the whole point. The whole point is you got a 7-year-old kid who has 50 cents in his pocket, and all he wants to do is something nice for you. Whatever that piece of junk is, it doesn't matter. Okay? It's that whole process that he went through. Every freaking year, I used to get on Christmas a miniature toolkit. I would get a miniature screwdriver kit or a miniature tool kit, one of those little ones. And within 2 months, half of the stuff was gone, right? The mini screwdriver, half of it was gone. Some of it was missing. But damn it, being a musician, you get a miniature screwdriver like that. There's like on guitars, there's like little Phillips head stuff and everything like that. And I always keep those in my guitar bag because I didn't know when I was going to need it. So as the years passed and he got older, probably about 10 years went by where I was not getting the mini screwdriver and or the mini tool set, and I missed it. And one of the best gifts that I've ever gotten, I think my son was like 25 years old. He was out, he had a job, and I mentioned to my wife, she said, "What do you want for Christmas?" And I kind of got a little nostalgic and a little misty-eyed. And I said, "What do I want?" I go, "You know what I really want?" And it was one of those things that I really needed. And I said, "What I'd really, really want is I need one of those mini tool sets again." And she told my son that, Dad really wants one of those mini tool sets like he used to give him. And sure shit, he went out and he got one of them. And he gave it to me, and it was the most wonderful gift that I had ever gotten. It just brought tears to my eyes that I got that again, because it reminded me of when, he was just 7 or 8 years old, and he was so happy to give it to me. And I lost it probably in about 3 weeks. But the point is that it is that was one of the best gifts ever. And I think that if you have kids that do that or whatever, it's something that you should do every year, is find that one little thing to give to them, because it'd mean more to you. For your dad, it'll mean more to you than anything else. And I'm at the point right now where next year when it rolls around, what do you need? It's like, I can use one of those mini screwdriver sets. And then finally coming in, the number one most unimpressive Christmas gifts, yet something we all need. I mean, and this I think is evergreen. Here we go. Booze. Yeah. I mean, I have to tell you that, it is very unimpressive. Giving some, excuse me, a bottle of booze, a bottle of wine, whatever the case may be, it comes off as being a total, hey, we're just going to give you, going to give you a bottle of booze. That's it. It's like a throwaway. But you know what? It's the best throwaway ever. Without a doubt. It is the best throwaway ever. Why is it the best throwaway? It is the best throwaway for the simple fact is you're always going to use it. Unless, of course, you go into some sort of a 12-step program, at which point I would just like to say, our thoughts and prayers are with you. But nonetheless, you can't go wrong with booze. You can't. You just can't, and you won't. It's always going to work. It's always going to be there for you. And, sometimes when you get there, you come June, July, you're going to need that booze to be there. And it will. And so while it is unimpressive, it is still a necessity. And where it gets to be a problem is when you go over by family, I mean, they haven't seen you in a while, and all you get is booze. And that's happened to me where I've walked out, I've gone back to like family gatherings where I haven't been in a while, and all I do is walk out of there with bottles of booze to make you question your own life choices. But you can't go wrong with booze. So we're getting close to the end of the show. And at the end of the show, what I always do is I'm going to wrap things up. Okay, I rambled for 50 minutes about what? Everything from Christmas to NIL to Marquette transfer to Wisconsin quarterbacks. Who knows what else, to kids coming home for Christmas. Tomorrow we got Trevor Ramsey coming up from Inside Wisconsin Sports. He's going to co-host. We have no idea what way that is going to go. But as with every show, we're going to end up with what color is the sky on your planet? Yes, what color is the sky on your planet? And that is where I take a story out of the news, and I will read it to you And then at the end, we say, what color is the sky on your planet? Ooh, look at this. My lady, yeah, my lady made apple pie moonshine and gave each family a quart. Dear God. I've had real moonshine made by a hillbilly out of a mason jar with XXX across the front, just like the old cartoons, in a Sharpie. And that stuff is nasty. That is nasty. Nasty. But still thoughtful nonetheless. So, what color is the sky on your planet? Well, what we've got here is a mom of 20. It is a mom of 20. Her name is Gina Kassoff. She rises each morning to greet her baby girl, Pippa, before waking up her older siblings in preparation for yet another busy day. The difference between her and other moms is that the dolls are dolls. They're babies. Her baby dolls are actual dolls. She has 20 dolls. They're called reborn dolls, she says. She's a 40-something married mother to 5 adult kids, but has 20 little plaything dolls. She's got 5 adult kids. They're hand sculpted, painted by talented artists. I've collected since 2020. They are lifelike, oftentimes mistaken like human babies. They are vinyl and premium silicone, which, dear God, it opens up another shop of horrors that I don't even want to possibly imagine. They cost from $2,000 to $10,000, depending on the artist and the unique specifications. But she is a doll mom of St. Louis, 20 fake babies. She gets up and she takes care of all of them. She films them. She puts it on OnlyFans. And people say it's creepy as F. But in the past 365 days, I've earned over $200,000 on YouTube. And these dolls are creepy. Yes, they are creepy. If you look at these, look how creepy these freaking dolls are. They are like real. She gets up and it's like she's taking care of them, 20 of them. Mornings with a doll mom. It's 5 adult kids. What are the kids thinking? But it's not only that. It's like, I don't know. When I see this, I don't know what to think. I literally have no idea what to think about this. What is creepier? Someone who is buying a replica baby doll for $10,000 that are so human-like, it's scary, or the person who's making them? What is the scariest? That or the person who's making them? I will leave that for you to discuss until we meet again tomorrow at 3:00. But to the mom who has 20 lifelike dolls that she has spent nearly $200,000 on, but she makes the $200,000 on OnlyFans, so you can't fault her for that. But the fact she does it in the first place, all I can say to her is, what color is the sky on your planet? And with that, I bid you adieu for today. Thanks for coming along for this ride again. I will be back tomorrow at 3:00 for about an hour and 10 minutes. Trevor Ramsey will be here. I will be back. And again, keep coming back because there are going to be some big developments happening in KB's Unemployed show. It can make a left-hand turn or right-hand turn. Who knows where it's going to go end up? All I know is this is where I'd rather be. I'd rather be doing this. Pass it along to your friends. Subscribe. I'm going to be breaking these out into little short videos, and you don't even have to sit through all of my ramblings. If you like to kill an hour, that's fine. At least you're not killing 3 with us anymore. And when they stuck us to 4 hours, 2 to 6, are you dry shaving me? Man, let's kill it and bill it. We'll get out in an hour. But until we meet again tomorrow, all I can say is make good choices.